Welcome back, everybody, to the Real Cine-Files. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Mike.
And we are your discussion show for all things cinema, television series, movies, streaming, pop culture, everything in the sphere of entertainment. And we are so excited that you're here with us. We just got done with episode 9. This is episode 10. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh. And it's the episode I've all been waiting for. The Karate Kid Cobra Kai themed episode. And we're just going to get right into it. We are so excited. Cobra Kai season 6. We're in the middle of it right now. Part 2 just dropped last week. And I mean, this was actually a requested show that we do the show, wasn't it, Mike?
Well, it wasn't requested to do the show, but it was requested to do a Karate Kid
Karate Kid. So we thought, you know what? The idea was, because I mean, and this guy, he's kind of green, like you said. His initials are MC. You know who you are. And he doesn't know about the glory of Cobra Kai. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's in the Karate Kid universe. So we thought, let's fuse these bad boys together and let's do just a full-on Karate Kid Cobra Kai episode. It's like a tribute, an homage, and we are excited because, listen, if you grew up on Karate Kid, it's a big, that world, that universe is important to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless you're the weirdo, you're the minority that does not like that film or that world or that universe. For a minute, I didn't think I was going to like the continuation of the story because of how Cobra Kai seemed to me at first. But boy, was I converted fast. And so this is like the best, in my opinion, the best type of tribute or theme kind of show to do. Not just because it's relevant, you know, because of Cobra Kai being out right now with the new season, but kind of to throw back to the days of Karate Kid, you know?
Yeah.
It just seems more meaningful to me. And I don't know a person who, as far as I don't want to talk about my age right now, golly. If you were like my age or even a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger, I don't know a person who watched Karate Kid who didn't relate to it in some kind of way. It is the age-old underdog story, kid getting bullied. Let's rise above our circumstances and our unfair treatment and all this kind of stuff, and let's prevail. You know what I mean?
Wait, you sure Johnny was the bully? You sure Daniel wasn't the bully?
We're going to get into this. I know you got, Johnny, you're going to be that guy. But listen, no, we can talk about different psychological aspects of that. And, but it's kind of interesting how you can see from the Karate Kid story in the continuation of it, what was the original dichotomy between them. You could see how there was a little bit of first season. It didn't stay, but it made you think there was full role reversal there for a minute.
Yeah.
But it was neat how it explored that.
Yeah.
Because it explored those ideas of what is it that makes a person a bully.
Yeah.
Because any one of us can resemble those characteristics at any time, depending upon A, B, and C, which we'll probably get into a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, Karate Kid is just a meaningful thing. And the fact that 34 years later, the chance at that story being continued, if anybody ever wondered, I wonder what would happen in the lives of, Daniel LaRusso, in the life of Johnny Lawrence, in the lives of the Cobra Kai people, if you ever wondered, like, it answers that question. And it's just really neat because it enriches an already existing phenomenal story and world. To me, it just increases it enlarges its territory, and I really like that about it. And so let me say this. I want to, who I'm representing. I love that. I love that too. Enter the Dragon, baby, 1973. And we got to give credit where credit's due because we want to talk about Karate Kid from the framework of it was obviously martial arts, kung fu films, different form, judo on screen, different forms of martial arts, like karate on screen. They existed. They weren't, they weren't like the redheaded stepchild or anything, but they weren't fully, in my opinion, they weren't mainstream completely.
Yeah.
Of course, martial arts films or action films, that subgenre of action films, has always occupied a specific space in the world of cinematics. And it's like there's a particular niche audience that follows it. But when you can take something that's been that for the most part for so long, and you take it with a well-written story and intriguing characters, well-written characters, and you develop them, and you bring that into martial arts, you couple that together, I feel like you bring that out of being kind of on the side and being just specifically like niche and small and in a smaller audience, and it becomes more wide and mainstream. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because most martial art movies usually be B movies.
Yeah, they were traditionally B movies. Yeah. I mean, and look, so I wanted to give this argument before we get into all this good stuff and this rich history. I just wanted to give credit where credit's due. Because we are saying, and I believe we agree, we're maybe on the same page. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, that the Karate Kid franchise, that it did what I just said. It gave martial arts films, like kung fu flicks as they call them, it gave them more airtime, to use that term.
Yeah, like mainstream appeal.
Yeah, it made it more give mainstream appeal. It made it like a thing. I said, wow, we can watch this. There's something to this, because they put it was more so story heavy than it was just fight heavy. It had both, but it was because it had good story. It introduced people to me in my mind to the idea that, maybe there's something more to martial arts on screen.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see what your thoughts were on that.
Well, typical martial art movies, they don't really have good stories, but good action. Because I love kung fu flicks.
Yeah.
Sometimes the stories be good, but
most of the time you're not watching it for that. You're watching it because you want to see this person beat this dude's ass or whatever. You want to see some butts getting kicked, man. You want to see some killing.
Now, if you want to see some good stories, my favorite martial artist, Jackie Chan. All his movies are great.
Oh my gosh, Jackie Chan's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to go down the list, man, and just say, there's so many great martial arts films. We're not saying that Karate Kid started it all. It's just it brought it more into the mainstream.
Yeah, mainstream. When we say mainstream, America, because you have to appeal to an American audience.
Yeah.
And it
definitely
was really a hard thing to do. And I think most, especially kung fu films, you had to watch them at like a certain theater. They weren't in the mainstream.
It's very true, very true. Yeah. They were indie flicks, limited release. The festival, they would get their kind of play at festivals. But yeah, I mean, Karate Kid was just really big and kind of increasing the audience, widening the audience. And I just, but I mean, you had the Van Damme movies, you had the Bruce Lee stuff that existed. Bruce Lee, he was one who attracted a lot of eyes to American screens. You had Fist of Fury that came out in '72, and then you had the Enter the Dragon in 1973, and then you had Game of Death in '79. Those were both I forgot the dude's name. It doesn't matter. But
Game of Death was terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't very great. I remember the dude's name. I do not remember his name. What was it? It was I forgot already. Oh, Robert Klaus. How did I forget his name? Well, he did those 2 movies. And then of course you got the man, dude. You cannot bring up the name Chuck Norris without dropping a good Chuck Norris joke. So I mean, Chuck Norris, he was really big as well in bringing mainstream bringing martial arts films and kung fu and fighting and action into the mainstream. There was the story still left a lot to be desired.
Wait, name one Chuck Norris movie. The only thing I know him from is Walker, Texas Ranger.
Oh my gosh, are you doing this, Mike? Okay,
I'm doing this.
Here we go. Oh my gosh, Chuck Norris is the man. You got Silent Rage. You got Karate Commandos. You got Eye for an Eye. You got Lone Wolf McQuaid. You got freaking Good Guys Wear Black. Which here's the cool thing about that dude. Good Guys Wear Black. Character's name John T. Booker. I love what Stallone did with Expendables, man. Taking all these action stars that had their time, that had their heyday, and bringing them all into his world in this story, which that was just a freaking, freak fest of action, insanity. It wasn't even about the story then either, even though the stories were decent enough to enjoy the movies. But he brought all these action stars together, and I love that even he knew we got to give respect to the man, Chuck Norris. So he brings Chuck Norris in for Expendables 2, and he comes in for one scene, and he's John T. Booker from Good Guys Wear Black. I remember when I found that out, I was like, this is amazing. And then he does a mic drop moment. He does his own damn Chuck Norris joke in the movie. It was so good.
Did he blow up a tank?
I don't remember what he did.
Yeah, I think he blew up a tank. He just came out of nowhere.
It was so funny. He said, I got bit by a rattlesnake. And then the snake died 3 days later. I don't remember the joke. I butchered it, but I usually tell the one where when Chuck Norris does a push-up, he's pushing the earth down. It's just, oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, oh my God, there's so many good Chuck Norris jokes. When Chuck Norris, I'm forgetting them all. I used to know like 50 of them.
They got the one is like Chuck Norris once had sex with a semi truck or something, and that truck became Optimus Prime. It's just something stupid. It always is stupid.
It's always great. They're just outlandish and hilarious, but I mean they're really fun to tell, and they're very fun to hear. So anyway, getting back to Karate Kid, I just want to say this: Karate Kid came out in 1984. Which was a really big year. You're talking about that year was a huge. First of all, it was one of the highest grossing films that year, but with the likes of Gremlins, Police Academy, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and your boys, Ghostbusters. So you're talking about a very good year for films, and just phenomenal, well-made movies that are have just gone on to be iconic favorites, Hall of Fame movies, these are our favorites. It's just 80s, but it was also the twilight of the Brat Pack. It was becoming the perfect time for teen angst. You got all that going on. So the temperature, the temperature of cinema at that time and the atmosphere and in culture, it was about that. People wanted to see, school movies. You had The Breakfast Club, came out in 85. You had 16 Candles. You had Pretty in Pink. All these teen movies, Just One of the Guys. All these movies were really, really, really huge. So it's like Karate Kid came in at that same time and, honored that was the wavelength back then. And so the story fit perfectly. And so John G. Avildsen was the director and an Oscar-winning director. You may know his work from a little-known movie, 1976 Oscar-winning movie called Rocky.
Yeah.
Yeah, he directed Rocky. He directed Lean on Me from 1989. Morgan Freeman, classic. And then 8 Seconds with Luke Perry, who died young, unfortunately. And listen, it was just the perfect time for this movie. To me, it was the perfect time. And, everybody can relate to an underdog story. Everybody can relate to getting picked on as a bully. Unfortunately, there's a lot more people that can relate to being a bully, unfortunately. Here's the thing. I have a theory about that, though. I feel like there's some people that they know, they know good and well when they're watching themselves in a movie, and they either get real with themselves and have a moment of clarity, or they go back into denial and they don't want to acknowledge the fact that they were the douche. Because who wants to say that they were the a-hole in the story? Who wants to be the bad guy, really? Now, bad guys do get a bad rap, and they do sometimes have very compelling and interesting stories. I'm not saying like anything about that, but who wants to be, you know what I mean, to end as the bad guy, the guy who picks on the less fortunate, the guy who does this and that, you know what I'm saying? So people, you know, I feel like there are people who see those movies, they know good and well that they're that person. But then I'm telling you, there are people, I'm not going to tell you how I know this, because I'm not going to say any names, but I'm telling you, there are people that they have no freaking clue. They're identifying with the person being bullied, and they're thinking, that's me. They're completely in denial, oblivious, aloof to the fact that they're the bully. It's them.
Unless their dad beating them up at home.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what creates a lot of bullies, you know?
Yeah.
And everybody's got a story. There's always an origin and a reason behind it. It doesn't ever excuse anything, but it is.
Yeah, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Some help. That's what it needs.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think we can all relate to it. And man, Karate Kid, probably you can't talk about Karate Kid without talking about. Why don't you go ahead and give us the good stuff, the interesting stuff, because I know you got some awesome facts about karate, and just go ahead and spit some stuff, because I got a whole bunch of other stuff I'm going to share.
Oh, well, I just want to know what style, what is it called? Myagi-Do was.
Oh, and you I thought you knew that. I thought you brought that up.
Yeah, it's actually Goju Ryu.
Goju Ryu.
Yeah, but
okay.
It's more to it. He's actually Mr. Myagi is based off the founder of that karate style.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
His last
awesome.
name is Myagi.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you know, his name was I think it was I got to get this right, man. I had this memorized and I forgot it already. It's Nariyoshi Miyagi, and he was played by
Pat
Morita. Yeah, but his name was Noriyuki Morita. Noriyuki Morita, and he actually wanted to use his real first name in the movie and in the credits, but they didn't want him to use it. So you got Pat Morita. And another little interesting fact about this guy is he was a comedian, and they didn't want him for the role. And then thank God he got it, because, man, now you can no longer picture. There is no other Mr. Myagi. He's the only one that will ever be. You could ever imagine or envision. It's him. He was made for that role, and he vied for it, and he got it. But they weren't considering him. He wasn't going to get the role, and mainly because you're judged by the fact that, you know, your limits are that I'm going to put you in the comedian box.
Yeah.
So you can't do this.
Yeah, you can't do a serious
Yeah,
role.
you can't be a serious role. You can't be a sensei.
You're a funny guy.
Yeah, and I mean he had the gravitas to do the hilarious parts too, the humor, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be careful because it's so sad how sensitive it is. You can't even like impersonate somebody because automatically you're racist. You know, I remember growing up and impersonating Mr. Myagi. But I mean, and I get it now. Some people, you can't do an Asian accent, and I get why. I'm not saying everybody should go around mocking Asian accents. That's not what I'm saying. But it's a sad day when you can't even impersonate Mr. Miyagi.
Says who?
Says who? Wax on, wax off. Exactly. I'm wearing the shirt.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. Because we love Asian people. We could talk for an hour about how much we love just Asian culture and their contributions to what we love. You know what I mean? And who they are as a people. But you know, it's sad when you can't even. What were you going to say?
No, I was laughing because the way you saying it, people's like, yeah, he's saying that because he kind of deflecting. You know how people be like, man, I love this person, I love that person, and it's I can't explain it, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I think so. You're getting tired. So, well, you feel like you have to like say that because everyone's automatically like you're racist. I mean, it's like, well, let's just impersonate. It's great, the way he did it. Like, it was just so funny when that part where he's like training him, he's like, were you some kind of girl? That part where he's like got the catcher's thing on. Oh, it was so funny. Just the way he said it. But I mean, Mr. Myagi, dude, he was that dude.
Yeah, he was that guy, man.
I mean, I remember being a kid and I was like, man, I want a personal, like, Mr. Myagi. I want him to go around with me through all of my adolescence, all through my coming of age as a preteen and teenager. I want a personal Mr. Myagi by my side at all times. But anyway, it was just really, really, really neat to see what he contributed to the movie. We're specifically focusing on the Karate Kid. Karate Kid 2, it came out in 86. It's the story where they go to Japan. Tamlin Tomita was in it. She played Kumiko. It's awesome. Then you had, the guy who played Chosen, who's also a character. Both these characters came back in Cobra Kai, which was great.
Yeah.
So it's a call back to Karate Kid 2, but we're not really focusing on that one or 3, which came out in 1989. And even the characters from Karate Kid 3 came back. Terry Silver, the Sensei Terry Silver, Mike Barnes, the bad guy that he fought in that.
Yeah.
But our focus is on Karate Kid 1 because to me, it's a standalone, fantastic film.
Yeah.
It's a cut above the other ones. It's just, how it goes with sequels. They kind of gradually decline. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I don't think 2 was that good.
It wasn't that good. I enjoyed it. I was entertained by it because you go in, you're a fan of the characters. So you want it to be, you walk away believing it's better than it actually was, But here's an interesting thing. I want to give you this real quick if you didn't know. Did you have anything else about karate? You were going to talk about the origins of karate. Where's your freaking notes, man? You're killing me, Mike.
Talk about the origins.
What you said you had some stuff you were telling me about.
I was telling you about the founder name. His name is Chojun Myagi of Goju Ryu.
Oh, that's awesome.
But the origin of karate, what most people don't know is it's an Okinawan martial art.
Okay, yeah. I do know that it had influence from 16th century China, but the actual karate itself originated in Okinawa, Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the 17th century. It was kind of...
It was in Japan at the time.
Well, okay.
Yeah. I think the Japanese was in the area.
Yeah.
Or conquering them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, but it wasn't... Karate itself was not systematized until the 17th century. Yeah. And so that's what was supposed to be introduced in Karate Kid. Now, there are people that actually, we've actually got an audience member who, martial arts is his thing. It's his forte. And it's hard for certain people that know an art itself when they see it improperly demonstrated on screen.
Yeah.
And I get that. It's probably hard to do that because you have such respect for it, and I get it. But I don't watch it for all that. I just want to see the kicks and the fights, and I like it.
It's supposed to be flashy, though.
Yeah, it's supposed to be flashy, and it's supposed to be fun. And and a lot of people, they stretch something a little bit, and they make it something else to make it more cinematically palatable. And I get that. But I understand why it's hard for some people to watch certain things because they're like, well, they're not really doing the right moves or it's not really, and I get where they're coming from. But sometimes we just got to kind of be forgiving of it to enjoy a certain thing if you're a fan of whatever. And maybe sometimes you feel like, well, it's not giving it its proper respect if it's not being performed correctly. But very rarely have I seen something adapted on screen, whether it be an art form or a story or whatever, and it actually be done full justice. I mean, it's rare that it happens. So, but it is kind of neat that, karate became a bigger thing because of this movie, regardless of how legitimately it was covered, and then you had another karate movie come out with Chuck Norris in it that came out in the early 90s called Sidekicks. With that kid that played in Ladybugs. He was sorry.
Oh, I remember that movie.
Remember that movie?
Yeah. The kid had like asthma or something.
Yeah. But anyway, it was like these movies, all these other movies that were mainstream possible because of Karate Kid, Yeah. But I thought you might find it fun to know because I noticed a pattern here. the writer of Karate Kid. It was a screenwriter named Robert Mark Kamen. This is really cool. He wrote the screenplay for Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3. But guess what else he wrote? He was the screenwriter for the Taken series, and he was the screenwriter for the Transporter series. He was the co-writer with Luc Besson for Transporter. So he's obviously big on the whole, these action films that have different martial arts in them and kind of compelling stories here and there. I liked the story. It was more simplistic in Taken and in Transporter, but I noticed a pattern. I bring this up for a reason because I was looking at it and I was like, okay, so this guy was a part of writing these 3 trilogies, and each one gradually, according to the consensus, each one was worse than the one before it. And then I was like, there's something to this. And I went on to check it, and it literally is the same thing. The Metacritic results and the Rotten Tomatoes, if you look at it, from Karate Kid all the way to Karate Kid 3, it goes way up here, and then it gradually goes down. The second one, worse than the first one. Third one, worse than the second one. It followed the same pattern in the Transporter series and in the Taken series.
Oh, I can see that.
Isn't that wild? I just found that interesting.
Because, what was it? Transporter 3 wasn't that great. And
No, it wasn't. The first one was phenomenal.
1 and 2 was good.
Yeah, I like 2 as well.
But and Taken 1 and 2 were great, and then the last
third
one
was just kind of like, what?
I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
Hot garbage.
3 was really lame. I didn't like it at all, but I did like 1 and 2. Clearly, obviously, just like in the Karate Kid, number 1, it is set apart and a cut above the rest on each of those, in my opinion. I did like Taken 2 and Transporter 2. I also liked Karate Kid 2. But, you see what I'm saying?
Well,
none of them were...
The last 2 Karate Kids were forgettable.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what happened in the third one.
That was the whole thing where it explored Daniel's dark side. It wanted to kind of look into that side of him. Like, could he be the bad guy? What happens when he gives way to his rage and his bitterness, and just Myagi won't train me, so I'm going to go to the bad guy and he's going to have his influence on me. You know how it goes. I mean, it was interesting. I liked it. That dynamic was neat, but it's all about that Karate Kid 1, man. But I brought Robert Mark Kamen up because the story of Karate Kid 1, it's semi-autobiographical. The 1964 New York World's Fair, he got jumped. He got picked on, beat up by bullies after it. And so then this was spawned. And dude, I just think that's really cool. That's why I think it was so rich and full of substance, man, because I think we can all relate to the being picked on thing. I mean, I got to tell you, man, I'll tell you this. I got to be honest with you. I relate to the whole, like, I wasn't like, I wouldn't say I was picked on. I don't think that you have to necessarily hold that over yourself that I've got the caricature of a person who's been picked on and he's been the victim of bullies. I'm not saying that you have to be that guy to necessarily have experienced being picked on. I think that everybody to a degree can relate to getting picked on or punched down on, so to speak, without having necessarily been the victim of being a victimhood of bullies your whole experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't that way, but I can remember getting picked on, and I can remember identifying bullies who picked on other kids, and I hated seeing it. But you're like, I don't know enough kung fu to go defend that guy, but you wanted to, or I don't have a lot of confidence in my fighting ability. I haven't fully explored it yet, so I don't really know how this is going to go. You know what I mean?
Now, if a character is written real good, you don't have to actually go through the experience they've been through, but if it's written real good, you can actually feel what they're going through.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You can identify with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I like it. I think when you do it, and I think Karate Kid accomplished that, you know? I mean, I had a moment in high school. Actually, I think it was middle school. And I remember it was high school. It was high school. I remember now. And you know that part in Karate Kid where, you know how it is. You're like, you've been picked on. I can't stand these kids. And you finally see your opportunity to exact some revenge, get some justice. You know, it was the Halloween party, the dance.
Yeah.
And he was in the bathroom. He's in the shower, which was a great costume idea Mr. Myagi gave him. It was great when you saw that light bulb that Myagi had go off. And, you know, he pulls the hose over and he, you know, douses Johnny. and you could tell that he didn't fully think about this, you know.
Yeah.
He didn't fully think about the consequences. He's like, I'm in the shower thing. I'm covered. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get away. Didn't get away. Got picked on. Got beat up.
So was Johnny actually the bully, though? He was minding his own business. And he poured water on Johnny.
But that's what I'm trying to say. I know you watched the same damn YouTube video that tried to be like, who was the real bully in the story?
Yeah,
Come on, you're trying to isolate. I saw that video too. Yeah, it's a good point though. But it does. What I look at it as is, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna get back at this bully. It's like I'm gonna. It's a little bit different than, yes, standing up for yourself, but I understood it. You know what I mean? I get it. I get why he did it, and it was really, really funny. And I had a similar experience that, you know, struck a chord with me when I watched it again after what I went through. I can't say that I was thinking of this scene when I experienced this in high school, but I can remember there was this bully. I got his wrath like only once, but he mainly just pissed me off because of what he did to other people.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stand it because nobody would stand up to him, not his peer pressured friends who were like, just, oh, we worship you. We're not going to say anything. We're going to go along with you, even though we secretly think you're an overpowering, demonstrative douche. You know what I mean? You know, none of them, you know, I'm observing all this stuff. I'm observing all this stuff. And it's like, I can't take it anymore. So I saw my opportunity. But just like Daniel, I didn't think about the after or the consequences. All I saw was the moment. Do you remember? I don't know if this was a thing when you were a kid. Do you remember a period of time in school where you ever heard of hornets or wasps? That was what we called them. I called them wasps, but a lot of kids called them hornets. It was where you folded over these pieces of paper. Some people would actually fold over the pieces of paper and then wrap them in Scotch tape. Most people just rolled over these pieces of paper so it would be really, really thick, and it would end up becoming almost like a cardboard, like a little piece of cardboard. And you would put it in a rubber band, and the way that it would sound like a bee buzzing by you or a hornet, hence the name.
Yeah.
But it would, I'm talking about, listen, you want to talk about leaving a welt on you? It would smart, as they said back in the day. In the South, man, that's smart. It would really hurt. I mean, you want to talk about it. And so it was a popular thing. Kids were doing it. It's like, let's graduate. We're going to evolve. Spitballs aren't enough anymore. Let's cause real pain. You know what I mean? You know how it is with kids. So that was the thing. And a kid had made one for me. And we were in the lunch line, and I saw this bully, man. He was way up ahead. Now, you know how it is when you have a thought? You think it's brilliant at the moment, man.
Yeah.
You're like, this is great. And it's just impulse, coupled with rage, coupled with unrealized redemption and justice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you just want to see, you know, right get put right. And all that's raging through you. So common sense, you know, that's kind of escaping you in the moment. So I did not think about the after. I did not. But I was far enough away. I guess what I was thinking was, I'm going to get this kid. I'm going to get this kid, and I'm going to get back in line. He's not going to have a clue. I did not consider the pain that it would cause or the spectacle that it would cause. So the whole being like all sly and then sliding back in line, that was not on the table. So I pulled that thing back. Listen, dude, it went way better than I could have imagined. That shit went right up, hit him right in the ear.
Ooh.
I remember thinking, oh, damn. I was like, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. It was the ultimate, oh shit. It was like the ultimate that moment. And I was thinking, I was like, oh my God, I wanted it to hurt. I wanted it to stun, but I didn't want it to do that. So, and I also didn't anticipate all the freaking dry snitches in the lunch line. It was him. Dude, they outed me quick. So all I did was bolt. I mean, it was the epitome of the Daniel situation, running. And he caught up to me and he pinned me against the wall and made me say uncle or some shit. It was just so, oh my God. It was,
Uncle.
It was humiliating. It was like, he made me like apologize in some humiliating way and like was very like painfully shoving me against the wall. So I realized that you need to plan your get back a little bit better. But my point is we all can relate to the bully thing, man. And that's, I think that strikes a chord with everyone.
Yeah.
That narrative in the movie. Anyway, you got any stories like that?
Yeah, man. I was bullied when I was a kid. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah.
That's why you became a judo man. Did that feed into that at all?
Yeah. Yeah. Childhood trauma and, just trying to build some confidence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you got to know how to protect yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? World cruel and kids are cruel. I mean, yeah, they real cruel.
They really are, man. It's sad.
Pretty much kids in classes just gang up on me and just pick on me and stuff. I mean, I don't know why, but it is what it is.
You know how it is. People see certain things and they feel like they find something that's different from them or they, and you know how it is. A lot of people, they want an outlet and they find what they estimate as an easy target.
Yeah.
Or they find something that's whatever and they exploit it. It's sick is what it is. Kids are cruel, man.
Yeah, you don't wear designer clothes,
Yeah, it's usually something like that.
Stuff like that. And, oh, man, he got shoes on from Walmart. But it's like, who are you to say what somebody wear? You don't buy your own clothes.
Exactly.
Your parents did.
Yeah, but that was the epitome of spoiled brats, man.
Yeah.
They were the worst, man. It's like...
Yeah.
But no one thinks like that because the brains aren't even freaking formed yet. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is mine. I'm better than you. The whole classist bullshit. It was all the way down to grade school. It was sad. Yeah. And all that kids learn how to do many times is to evolve in different interesting ways of being cruel and being narrow-minded and superficial, really.
Yeah.
But the point is that these movies, like, they speak to that. They speak to anybody who's ever been picked on and like, rising above it and, prevailing over the idiots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think we have that experience too. I can remember you have that moment of realization where I think everybody, even the bully, there's always a bigger bully.
Yeah.
Everybody gets picked on at some point. And a lot of times what happens is that the worst bully, we don't see the one who's punching down the most. You pointed out the one who gets beat by his dad. You never know. There's always a bigger bully picking on you, and you're finding the outlet for that for yourself.
Now, I'm gonna tell you something. What bullying does, it makes you stronger. You know what I'm saying? Most people who don't get bullied, sad to say, they don't know how to handle the real world.
No, that's so true because you have to learn. It develops character in you.
Yeah, it makes you strong.
Because you have to look down inside of you, and you have to learn what's my heart response going to be to this?
Yeah.
Am I going to let this define me? Am I going to believe what they say? Am I going to let it? Am I going to let this take up space in my head? Rent free.
Yeah.
And it ruin critical formative years in my life.
Yeah.
It really, dude, that's a really good point.
Yeah, because I feel like if you never been through shit, I mean, when you get older and get in the real world,
when something smacks you face to face, you're like,
you don't know what to do.
You don't. You really don't.
A mental breakdown.
Yeah. That is so true. Yeah, if you could come up against adversity in a way, because I think we all have to experience that to grow and mature as people.
Yeah.
In a way that it's not just so over the top. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where the bullying is just too much. I think a little dose of getting picked on is good for everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't think that like people that really there are people that it's like it's destroying them. Like cyberbullying, and I mean, kids are more vicious now than they ever have been. But that's why there's just so many programs to combat bullying, because people have been suicidal over it and everything. Like, and so it is a problem. It's like there needs to be more tools. People need to be armed with how to deal with it better and respond to it. You know what I mean?
Well, as the teachers, they're not really dealing with it. It's kind of like they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? Because of a kid who's constantly harassing somebody, they need to get kicked out of school.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't tolerate this.
There's no answer except for that.
And they're not doing that.
Yeah. Man, that's so true. Yeah. And you know how it is. Well, you don't pay me enough to do this. Like,
yeah, and they probably tell the kid that's getting bullied, stop snitching.
Yeah, it's like, come on. Some of the advice they give kids is just crazy. It's like,
if I had a child, I'm going to be real with you. I had a child. My child's getting bullied. I'm beating up their dad.
Dude, that's the way to do it right there. Because you got you look no further than that being the responsible party.
Yeah, and it's like, every day my child be bullied, I'm coming here and beating you up every day and say stop.
That's a great philosophy. I think that people should employ that, Mike. 100%. That is great. I love that idea. Man. That's great, dude. All right, let me give you a little bit of extra facts, little freebies here. So Fumio Demura, for anybody who's wondering, he was the stunt double for Myagi. Yeah. I can remember, we live in a world, they did a really good job making it look like Pat Morita was doing all that. I mean, and forever, probably up until age 25, I figured he was still the guy doing it. I live in an unrealistic world in my old fantasy land. And so it was kind of interesting to find out that he had a stunt double, but he was really, really good. Fumio Demura, and they were like the same build, almost identical, Yeah. It worked, man. What was really interesting to me too was that Ralph Macchio did all of his own stunts except for 2 scenes. The whole like that brutal like getting run off his bike and roll down the hill. Yeah. I was like, no way you're gonna do that. It's got to be a real stuntman doing that. So he didn't do that one, and there was another one he didn't do, but I thought that was pretty interesting. And did you know that Charlie Sheen was originally gonna be Daniel LaRusso? He either turned down the role or he got turned down for it. But he was originally going to be Daniel LaRusso. I can't remember which one it is. He either turned it down or he got turned down. I can't remember.
That would have been interesting.
That would have been very interesting. Winning. Mr. 2.5 Men. Anyway, so let's look. Man, it's been such a great episode already. We'll wrap it up here in a minute. We could honestly have a part 2 about this, but let's talk a little bit about Cobra Kai. A big part of why we're here. It was really, really neat to see the evolution of a character, Johnny Lawrence.
Yeah.
Because I mean, people have always wondered. I've wondered, like, what's to become of the bully when he's older? What's his life going to be like?
Oh, we already knew.
Yeah, most people know. And they went with that narrative for sure.
The most cool kids in school.
Because that's where they peak.
Yeah, and they be losers.
Losers when they get older, yeah. It sucks to have been you when you were that way. It's like, oh my God.
You peak in high school.
It's crazy. I mean, how lacking and just, ugh. So I really, Cobra Kai, interesting concept. Did you have some facts about that real quick? I know you knew some of it. You know how it started, right?
Yeah, it started on YouTube TV or YouTube Red.
It did. The first 2 seasons were on YouTube Red, and Netflix came to the rescue.
Yeah.
And listen, they saw value in it. They saw a winning franchise, winning IP, and they were smart with it too. But originally it started with a music video that William Zabka, Johnny Lawrence himself, directed, called "Sweep the Leg," by a little known band called No More Kings.
Yeah.
It came out in 2007. And that was where the idea was first introduced. And then Ralph Macchio and William Zabka, Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso had an appearance on an episode, of How I Met Your Mother. And so we're steadily getting closer to this. Okay, let's explore this idea of these characters as adults and where they're at. And then Cobra Kai takes off, And I got to be honest with you, I was one of the ones that I felt like, okay, this is super cringe. I was like, I felt like it was going to be lame. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was watching the first season and I was like, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I felt like, okay, this is cheesy. And obviously there are some very obvious, very blatant, like ostentatious aspects of it. At least it's moderately, not overboard with how ostentatious it was. It's, a little bit over the top and garish, all the really, the very obvious high school plot lines that you'd see with the love interests, and we're going to switch. Hey, let's just do a little switcheroo with the boyfriend-girlfriend thing. You date, hey, we'll date, and then we'll switch over here and we'll date. I mean, they do that kind of stuff in it, which is predictable and age-old stuff. But and I felt kind of like, okay, this is kind of blah and lame in certain ways, but it had a way. It just has a way of sinking its hooks into you, and you get so invested in Johnny Lawrence, and you see this complete evolution of his character, and then it explores what happens with the idea of the kid who was bullied, growing up, becoming a success, and then him, like we said earlier, exploring those aspects of his personality where he might become a bully, and we see him. We see it flirt with that.
Yeah, because, as soon as he heard Cobra Kai, he came to shut the dojo down.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, man, I'm falling asleep.
Real quick. Yeah, we're going to have to wrap it up, man. This has been so much fun, though.
Can't even get my words out right.
Hey, I know. We may have to start doing some of these at different... If they knew when we were recording, they would be like, bless your heart, guys. I'll just say a few more things, man. And we might do another part 2 to it as well. But if you didn't know, part 2... Season 6 Cobra Kai is streaming right now, and then you've got I think you said part 3 comes out in February.
Yeah,
that's going to be exciting. Listen, part 2 ended on a cliffhanger. When we have more time and we're more alert, we'll dissect it. But listen, Cobra Kai is a fun series. If you ever wanted to see, what would become of these characters, Johnny Lawrence, he's older. He's kind of an absentee, uninvolved father. He's got a drinking problem. He's just washed up. And you see that aspect of him. He has this moment of just crystal clear clarity where he sees a kid getting bullied and he sticks up for him. And he sees this need for Cobra Kai. But he's employing the tactics and the principles that made him the bad guy that he was to begin with. And so it's, strike first, strike hard, no mercy. And he realizes that that's not going to work, And so then that's the evolution of the character. You see him become a good guy. But what I love, what drives the show is he's such a foot in mouth horse's arse in so many ways. And he's 80s to the bone. He's like this blend of like I don't even know how to. It's like Bon Jovi, it's like Bon Jovi and hair metal and Def Leppard, ended up having a baby with every 80s movie and 80s character, and then spit out this over the top garish character. I don't know how to do it. I'm tired too. You get what I'm saying? He is like every one of those tropes that you would see from the 80s. He's that guy to the fullest. Just even when you look at the art in the eagle thing, I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. That looks like the cover of a failed hair metal band album. That was hilarious. It was totally 80s. But the show's great. I mean, they created a universe where all these people could come back. These characters from the 80s that people cherished and were invested in, they came back. You know, Elizabeth Shue. We didn't even get to talk about her character, Allie with an I, in the original Karate Kid. She was great. Did you know that she was more skilled at soccer than the rest of the actors in the scene, not the least of which being Daniel? She was better at soccer than he was. You know, it presented him as, look at me, I'm bouncing the ball on my knees or whatever. Apparently she was the real soccer, like the soccer genius of the movie. I thought it was interesting. But you know, it brought Elizabeth Shue back. You know, it brought her back in season 3, and then I think that's when they introduced Kumiko, Tamlin Tomita, and then Chosen's character, he came back, and then just different cameos. Brought Terry Silver. Then you got Martin Kove, who's like the most sinister bad guy, the original sensei of Cobra Kai, and he's been in it throughout. I think they brought him in during the second season.
Yeah.
And he's been a really captivating and compelling character throughout.
Now they probably ruined his character though, because
they did. I mean, when they did the whole prison escape thing, they did some really crazy, over the top, unrealistic stuff.
I'm just talking about the second
No, it's
half.
that was that too. That was just bad too.
Yeah, but the second half of season 6 is like Reese was supposed to be the bad guy. You guys bring back Terry Silver, really?
Yeah, that was a little bit. It was a little vanilla.
Yeah,
but they made it work, and I mean, they listen, for as much as it was lacking, it made up for in other areas, and I think Hurwitz and Schlossberg and Josh Held, that's the trio behind the Cobra Kai series. They're the writers, they're the brain trust behind this series. That's just it's like a guilty pleasure to me, because it's so over the top, but it's so addicting and so good, and you're just like, you want more and more and more, but you feel like your IQ gets lowered a little bit. I feel like my emotional intelligence gets lowered a little bit when I watch it, but that's the whole guilty pleasure thing. That's what makes it so good and entertaining, and it's worth it. It's a good exchange because you get to see these characters. You get to see this story continued that was important to you as a kid. You know, I loved it.
Yeah, I'm just hoping this part 3 of season 6 be better than part 2, because they was just really driving the drama. Yeah,
they really were.
Yeah,
they were.
You know, they had the drama between Dimitri and Hawk.
Yeah, it was a lot of side stories going on. It was almost hard to keep up. I was getting whiplash.
Yeah, and they
honestly
kept trying to push the drama. It's like, why can't everybody just get along?
I know. It's like, would you just have at least an ounce of maturity? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, we just got to have drama. Because when Kenny came back, well, we can't trust Kenny. Terry Silver, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. it was definitely over the top.
Yeah, they drive me crazy with that.
But I don't want to be too pejorative about it either when it comes to like all that kind of stuff. The negative aspects of it, it's part of what drives the show. It's like it's a package deal.
It was still good. It was still pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I mean, they made it work, and I like it because I like what they're doing, man. It's like let's see. It's cameos on crack. That's what Cobra Kai is. Let's take all this stuff and let's just rehash it and like bundle it up together and like spit it out and like, here's your surprise, everybody. And it's like it's been like cherished by a lot of people, and I think it's been a warm reception by most.
And if you didn't know, season 6 is the last season.
It is the last season?
Yeah, that's why they pretty much brung all the bad guys back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's going to be a big climax.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so looking forward to February. Because listen, that part 2 ends with a cliffhanger. Let me tell you. And they did that thing I've been talking about where, you know what they do, and I know it's part of the writing, it's part of the art form. You want to write different narratives and subplot lines about certain antagonists that make them it makes it a little bit more acceptable if they're going to get killed. You know, it's like, we want you to judge this person as more deserving of death than this person because he was clearly the D word, the D bag, the whole way through. But you know they're doing that.
That dude
you saw that.
That dude was supposed to be a badass. And I'm like, come on, bro. Y'all
Dude,
kill him off?
The biggest thing they did was, I beat you in the bet of who can kick the highest. That was the biggest thing we saw him do. He had a couple decent fights, but that was supposed to be the big epic like end, you know? And if you don't know who we're talking about, forgot the spoiler warning. Somebody dies at the end of season 2. It's the epic cliffhanger of Cobra Kai. You will never guess. Do not be dissuaded from starting Cobra Kai. You should watch it if you were ever a fan of the Karate Kid universe. Go ahead.
I mean, I just think my only problem is they built him up in part 1 of season 6. And just for him to die like that, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
And then they just had this random guy. He's like the Terminator. Like, nobody can take him down.
Yes,
like,
I'm Axel.
It's
Yeah.
like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
He's going to get taken down, though.
Oh, I know.
Of course, there can't be any more Takai Sakai anymore. It's destroyed.
My only gripe with it is I would have just went with a regular tournament. You know what I'm saying? I would just went with a regular tournament, so I'm really looking forward to see what they're going to go with in part 3.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, I do like the fact that they had a no-holds-barred just brawl.
Yeah.
Everybody,
that was crazy.
I mean, they had kind of a similar, kind of a like dialed down brawl at Terry Silver's house. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then the one at Daniel's house.
Yeah.
I mean, but this was a brawl, no holds barred. It's like, let's watch all these high school kids just beat the shit out of each other. I mean, it's like all walks of life. And how about that Zara chick, man? Come on.
Is that the one on
the social media princess, the prima donna?
Oh, yeah.
She is beautiful. And you can tell she's bad. She can fight, man.
Yeah.
The real chick, I didn't do a lot of research on her, but she's legit. So,
Taekwondo.
Taekwondo. Yeah, I saw that iconic high kick. That was amazing. She was amazing. But yeah, Cobra Kai, Karate Kid, just a great universe. And man, it's worth your time. I promise. Yes, it's cheesy. Yes, it's over the top. No, it's not the most. It's not the most in-depth writing, but look, these are the guys. You're talking about the people who wrote this series. Just to give you an idea, they're the guys behind the Harold and Kumar movies, for crying out loud. They're the guys behind the Hot Tub Time Machine movies. Loved all those movies, but they're insanely there's many of adjectives I could think of, but that's what you're getting. So you're going to get. That's the, with a little bit of creative direction given to them, lended to them by the people that were there in the originals, I'm sure they sway it, which is why we have something that's kind of middle of the road and not extreme to that end as far as how insane it could be with the comedy.
Yeah.
But that's where you see some of the, lesser savory parts, but still hilarious. But that's where you're going to get they did a good job. They did a really good job. I like the creativity of it. I like the direction of it. I gotta pay homage to Hilary Swank. I know it wasn't the best. The fourth Karate Kid, one of the most forgotten. The next Karate Kid, Hilary Swank's launch as an actress. That was her breakthrough role. I mean, she at least showed she's a badass. Wasn't a good movie, but Hilary Swank, she's great. I got to say that.
Wait. We're not talking about the one with Jaden Smith in it, are we?
No, the remake in 2010 with Jackie Chan.
Oh, I didn't know Hilary Swank played the Karate Kid.
Oh my gosh, Mike. I just dropped the bomb on you then.
Yeah, you did.
It came out in 1994. It's called The Next Karate Kid. It was not the same people. It wasn't John G. Avildsen, and I don't think it was Mark Kamen, but Christopher Kane directed this one. And it's entertaining. But it's worth it to watch just to see Hilary Swank's start. Like I forgot that she was the chick when I was watching her in her older movies like $1 Million Baby and all these other films that she was in, the Freedom Riders, and I was like, isn't this the chick? And then I saw P.S. I Love You. I'm not gonna lie about that. That's definitely a romance I saw. Anyway, but I remember I was like, this is the chick. This is the girl from Next Karate Kid because she's got such very defining features, very distinguishable features. And I remember when I had that light bulb moment. But anyway, Karate Kid, it's so great.
Maybe she should make a cameo.
I was wondering. That's what I keep hoping for. I'm hoping that they're going to bring her in it. But I mean, they're losing chances. I don't really know what's going on. I don't know if she's been asked. I mean, I don't really remember much about The Next Karate Kid, so I don't know how much they introduced other characters in it. Like if there were cameos from the original 3, I don't remember, but it's still still part of the universe, and I would love to see her as a cameo because she was part of the universe. So
Yeah, it was cameos from the original 3. Remember that guy that Daniel was fighting when he got he was trapped in a dog cage?
yeah, that was he was a cameo from part 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had already done Mike Barnes, who was funny. They chose him to be the objective trainer to pick who was going to be the team for the Tekai Sekai. That was pretty funny. But anyway, this has been a fun episode. We're so glad we finally did it. We hope you're happy, Monty. Anyway, look, we've got live streaming coming up. We'll let you know when it's coming. Pay attention to our socials. Don't forget we're on Spotify. We're going to do a 6 Degrees in the future. We haven't done 6 Degrees for about 3 or 4 episodes, and I gotta keep my edge sharp. But anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We really appreciate all the support and appreciate all our fans. It's growing. If you ever have any suggestions or you just want to comment, we will comment back. But listen, we got some stuff coming up. It's great. Craven the Hunter's coming out December 13th. Nosferatu's coming out on Christmas. Oh, we got some good stuff coming, man.
Is there anything coming out this weekend?
There is, but I cannot remember. So we don't have an announcement what our next episode will be, but we promise you it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We hope you had a good time. We'll see you next time. Real Cine-Files signing out.